December 12th, 2024, we have a Sagittarius moon, a new moon, and it's going to be a powerful, fiery, heroic energy, but also it's going to bring us some significant change of perception in our own lives individually, as well as some profound healing and individual and collective changes of perception. By the way, even the possibility, strangely enough, of some medical breakthrough coming in through this lunation, even in the 6 months to follow. Now, the moon is happening at the 20th degrees of Sagittarius. It's going to impact people who, of course, have placements near 20 Sag, but also 20 degrees of signs angular to that: Gemini, Sagittarius. You guys are in the crosshairs of this lunation, but it is a powerful new beginning as well. Anyone angular to that in the Virgo and Pisces axis as well get a lot of momentum here. We're going to go into great detail about what this might mean for the world and what it means for you based on your sun, moon, and rising sign. So stay tuned for that. I do a little thing called mundane astrology. That means in the first 15 minutes or 20 minutes, I may talk about how this impacts the world. If you don't like that content and you're listening to the replay after my premiere, go ahead, advance the story, move forward. You can just check your own stuff out without listening to the preamble. I do like to look at world events through the lens of astrology because that makes me happy. Probably wondering why I'm moving around so weirdly. I'm traveling. I'm trying to prop a big laptop on a bed and on a bunch of wood. So also, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac and whole sign houses. I use fixed stars and minor asteroids. And Dave, we're talking about the minor asteroids of a little bit of Hephaestus, a little bit of Wuhan, a little bit of the Asteroid America, and Panacea, the remedy for everything. I'm seeing that Panacea in a breakthrough story for medical healing. It could even have to do maybe with a cancer cure. And I know that's a bold claim, and I'll tell you why I think that might be true. Okay, so, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. I am using the Western Tropical Zodiac. My name is Lori Lothian, if I didn't say that. And I love, using astrology for prediction for the world, but also so you can navigate your own life using the amazing tool of astrology to time your best life and to make some really powerful decisions proactively to move in the direction of the sky instead of against it. So first of all, let's talk about this moon as I try to angle myself into something approximating comfort. Because I will be going through the chart and showing it to you. This is a very complex energy in a sense that there's a lot involved here. First of all, it is a fire new moon at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, but it is conjunct Mars. So Mars is the warrior, hero, advocate, champion, personal willpower, cutting, severing, and ending. And Mars is not only conjunct this lunation, but he's on the star Shallah. Shallah is the stinger of the scorpion's tail. I know what you're saying. Well, aren't we in Sagittarius? Why is there's the tail of a scorpion? That's because we're using Western Tropical symbolic zodiac, not sidereal. So in the real-time sky, what we're looking at is not actually physically a Sagittarius placement. It's actually a lunation in sidereal or astronomical sign of, back it up, everyone, Scorpio. But Western Tropical Zodiac works for some reason. It's symbolic, but it works. So what I want to say about that is that the stinger of the tail of the scorpion is sharp and it's poisonous. And it's interesting to me, because we're going to talk a little bit about some of the world events around that Vladimir Putin was born with his Mars conjunct Shallah in the second house of what you put in your mouth. And he's actually terrified of being poisoned. He has like tasters. People will check his food out for him kind of thing. He's had a lifelong fear of being poisoned. And that doesn't surprise me because Shallah in his second house of things he ingests, puts in his mouth, Mars on that star means assassination by poisoning. So I'm bringing it up because also I understand because Mars and Shallah and this new moon are connected to Vladimir Putin's Mars and his worst fear about poisoning and, leaving the planet. This could activate that story only because of one really weird reason, because he's always had these attempts against him, but also because the Baba Yanga, the Bulgarian mystic prophet old lady, predicted in 2024 Putin would be, terminated. I don't want to say words that get me off this platform. And so we might see that in the 6 months because every new moon begets a full moon 6 months later. So this is a seed of not just what may occur in the 2 weeks to a month after this moon on December 12th, but what may occur over the course of the entirety of 6 months that follow. So keep that in mind. You know, you're probably wondering, like, why did I say medical breakthrough? We're going to get to that when I show you the chart. So hang in for there. That was just a teaser. Sabian symbol here is a child and dog with borrowed eyeglasses. Sabian symbols are channeled information for each degree of the zodiac. And so to me, that's a really weird symbol, but I'm going to make sense of it. Child is innocence. A dog is a loyal companion. Eyeglasses are, you know, not something a dog normally wears. So it's a shift of perception. The dog will see things through a different lens or a different perspective. This moon is square Neptune, the planetary body in Pisces, of all places, that makes us quite delusional. Quite often when we just have any kind of Neptunian activity, let alone Neptune and Pisces, ever since 2011, we don't see things clearly. We see through the through a dark glass, through the glass darkly. We see with rose-colored glasses on. We can easily be confused, misled, deluded. We have our own delusions and illusions. We can be manipulated. We can be lied to and deceived. Okay, so words like misinformation, words like you know, ways to propagate stories that may not necessarily be true. In social media and media land at large, these can be Neptunian delusions. Neptune rules making it seem real. Like Neptune is like, hey, let's make a film, let's take some photography, and it's not the real thing, it's a replica of the real thing. So there's all kinds of stories of, you know, propaganda material that's so Neptunian, where you confabulate or make something look as if it's this way when it's really another way. So this perceptual shift squaring Neptune could be for all of us in our own lives individually, forget about the world, a place where we weren't seeing things clearly. And the moon is also square Juno, and that creates a T-square. Moon, okay, so it's Juno opposite Neptune. So illusions in partnerships, illusions in contractual agreements, illusions and delusions around things to do with where Juno is often where we are staying in perseverance to commit to something we've already contracted to do, because she's like the long-suffering wife of Jupiter. She also rules moneta, or coin or money. And so there's some stuff about maybe coinage, especially crypto, that will emerge where the rose-colored glasses fall away, or the perceptual apparatus is changing about cryptocurrencies, central bank digital currencies, those sorts of things. So Neptune is opposite Juno. Right now, Mars tries to clear the fog. My experience with Mars square Neptune is trying to cut away, sever, burn away in Sagittarius, where we are experiencing illusory, delusional perceptions, and take action and decisions based on clearing the fog and the confusion for each of us in our lives. So look to this moon to maybe clear some kind of perceptual fog about something that you were committed to, that you no longer want to stay so committed to, long-suffering Juno, or some illusions, delusions, dispelling around things to do with coinage. And that would be a collective story to do with perhaps currencies, crypto, or also the formation of new currencies in any possible way. There's no air in the sky. So this is also a very fiery, very earthy sky. We have no major air placement. So the intellect is a little bit disabled, but air also rules getting along with others, you know? So Libra, one-on-one, or peace treaties. And now Venus is gone from there. We have the South Node in air, but that's not necessarily good for peace. Aquarian energy is one on many, and that's kind of a vacant territory. Gemini is one within yourself, or the brotherly twins. Again, communicating, and that's empty. So we don't have enough communication. We don't have enough energy of ideating and communicating going on with this moon. And that doesn't bode well when it comes to the word peace treaties or alliances to develop a calm in the world, or an agreement, or an armistice. Okay. Now I'm recording this for my Patreon community on November the 28th. So I'm talking without knowing all the news. We're in the middle of a ceasefire or truce thingy going on temporarily in the Middle East, but I don't think that's going to last, because Venus is crossing the South Node on Wednesday. This is Tuesday the 28th. And then squaring Pluto into the weekend. And I've already predicted another one of my videos. This is going to be a catastrophic decline in peace. Like, this is going to look the other way. You know, you thought it was bad before. So, and I remember listening to the news today, and the U.S. administration is telling the Israeli government they cannot go back and do the massive displacement of citizens with kinetic activity, which means bombing. I can't believe they called it kinetic activity. Let's just call a spade here. And so bottom line is that I don't like Venus on the South Node in Libra. Go watch my Venus rare 240-year transit video put out on Monday for the week ahead, because this is a really rare sky we haven't seen since the 1763. But every time the South Node comes together with Venus, because Israel is a Libra rising, it always impacts the story between the Arab world and the Israeli world every single time. And so I give you the whole history of how this thing happened over and over again, keeps reoccurring. And again, 1987, 86, 2005, back before that, it was, 1966, 70, 67, 68, 1949. These are times where the whole Arab Israeli thing has been tippy toppy. And there was even some stuff in the 30s, and that was when Britain was in charge of trying to figure out what to do in the Palestine area regarding settlers and the creation. They were tasked with the creation of trying to help create a Jewish state, actually. So the British had that job before the UN took over. All right, so I've been reading a lot of history books, guys. All right, so moving on, let's show you the sky. We're going to talk about how it impacts you personally. We're going to talk about a little bit like why the asteroid America is all wedged into this thing. Fixed star Shallah is about poison. Let's go show you the sky, because me talking about it and staring at you in this weird wobbly light is probably not the best thing for any of us. Let's go here. So this is the sky. This is set for December 12th. And you can see that there's a moon here, but it's not exactly on the hour. So let's get it back to the hour, just so everybody's seeing the same thing. There we go. And the Sabian symbol is 21. When I talked about the dog and the glasses and the girl, this is actually not a 21-degree moon. It's a 20-degree moon. You always round up for Sabian symbols. It's the way we do it. Now here you're going to notice something. I'm going to point it out to you at least. This is Shallah. That's the stinger of the Scorpion, where Vladimir Putin has his Mars. But also there's something else. This is the asteroid Wuhan. Wuhan can mean, yes, our obsession with the lab leak theory or the origins of the COVID virus, but also this is a energy about conquest and war. It has to do with the overthrow of an emperor in ancient. It's a military designation by asteroid meaning, because it has to do with a military conquest and overthrow in ancient China. So and I think it means Cold War, actually, like Wu and Han is something like cold and war, and you have to laugh because the coronavirus is a cold, and this asteroid was around before the virus was named and everything. So common cold virus gone wacky in a laboratory. So there's that story. Bottom line, though, Wuhan is here. That's what I'm trying to point out. Wuhan, Mars on the stinger of the poisonous Shallah. As I speak, there's this new pneumonia virus going around, or new pneumonia outbreak in China, but they're thinking it's just because they had kept the kids home from school and they finally relaxed all of their rules around going out in public. And because that's all changed now, we basically are having kids who are getting sick because they were penned up for 2 years, and that happened in the West as well. I do indeed hope that's what's really going on. But we have Wuhan, we have Mars, and we have America. That looks like this little diamond here. Oh, I haven't been annotating, which I prefer to do. So when I'm talking, for now anyway, you can see what I'm talking about. There's the star Shallah. Okay, there's the moon at 20 degrees. There's Wuhan. There's Mars. There's Asteroid America, and that's Ceres. Now she's an agricultural and grain and harvest kind of energy, but she's also a scythe or a sickle to harvest the wheat. So she's sharp, just like Mars. She cuts just like Mars. She's definitely got a sharp thing in her hand. So does he. He's got a sword. She's got a sickle. So there's a lot of cutting energy here involved with a lot of intensity. So we have this sort of Mars infused, Shallah, saturated stinger. So Mars is not really tightly bound to the Shallah, right? It's really he's still there, but it's really the moon and the sun that are sitting with Shallah. But because Mars is conjunct this new moon, his energy is involved in Shallah as well. And this moon is new beginning, is right on Vladimir Putin's own Mars in the second house, where he's definitely afraid of being poisoned. And he's a Scorpio rising. And so he's also ruled by Mars. So when Mars is doing something like getting involved in a new moon, this is interesting. Now, the military conquest of this Wuhan story might be more like a story about this Ukraine thing finally finalizing and finishing up. And the asteroid America here is interesting as well. You know, Asteroid America was tracking for a while, all the way through the sign of Scorpio with Mars during that Cazimi we just had. And go check that 2-year reset button in your life in my now at 50,000 views Mars Cazimi video, because I really go into how that impacts you personally over the next 2 years. And that happened on the 17th, 18th of November. And it's not a one-day story, it's a 2-year story. And that was with Asteroid America also being involved in that reset. So Asteroid America has been really tracking Mars, basically. And Mars and Asteroid America can be America goes to war, basically. Now we're talking about the future, right? We're December the 12th. We're not here yet, but this is also over the 6 months that follows. It's not just then. So hopefully Asteroid America and the god of war don't mean that us, and also the military conquest Wuhan here doesn't mean that there's going to be a war thing, right? Like where America in the next 6 months declares it's actually getting involved, not in a proxy or covert war, but in an actual conflagration of some kind. What I like about this moon as well, because I didn't say this, is Panacea. Let's get a medical breakthrough, a cure from cancer. Let's have a happy world story. Chiron could raise the frigging dad. He's a powerhouse. He's a healer. He's a healer. He worked to mentor the healers and heroes of the ancient world. This is Panacea, the remedy that cures everything, right? All things. And this is the North Node, expanding and moving into something new. North Node also, Rahu, can be about where we progress or where we go into new territory, also represents the word foreign lands and foreigner. So maybe there's going to be some, really exciting developments about an international discovery about a cure or remedy for some medical problem that the world will rejoice about, not just in the 2 weeks after the moon, but it could be, but also in the 6 months after the moon. And this moon is ruled by Jupiter. It's Jupiter's moon. Right, Jupiter's busy in Taurus, but he's with Uranus, the god of invention, the god of science and new ideas and intellectual property. So there again, we could see some powerful energies coming through about medical interventions or news stories about some new profound breakthrough in healing and medicine. This is Hygeia. Okay, this is Juno. Remember we talked about Juno? She's actually opposite Neptune. The software doesn't draw it very well. And they form a T-square to the moon, which is gritty tension. Where will the rose-colored glasses drop away in the eyes of you or the collective individual people and the world at large about contractual agreements and vows and alliances sometimes between two parties, Juno, that are no longer seemingly as good as they thought. We're seeing through the allure, the gloss, the glam, the spin, the propaganda of stuff, and there's going to be a shift. And America is involved in this at the tip of that T-square with this new moon. I find that just fascinating. Did you guys know, maybe you didn't, that all of these placements I'm about to tell you, all of these placements, I had like the exact degrees handy, but of course I don't have it handy now, but Iran, Netanyahu, and Joe Biden all have a Sagittarius rising. And so when I think about a new moon where Joe Biden, Netanyahu, and Netanyahu is 7 degrees Sag rising, I think, and Joe Biden might be 3, they all have Sag rising, or maybe Iran is 3, but they're all in the first decan of Sag in their ascendants. And we see Mars and, well, not in the decade, but we see America in the sickle, the cutting away, but we see a new moon and Mars and Wuhan all bundled into this with Shallah. So in the ascendant energy of Iran, in the ascendant energy of America, in the ascendant energy of Joe Biden and Netanyahu. So there's 4 placements. America, 12 degrees, right? Mars is baking in at 13 degrees on with the warring Wuhan, this moon on the ascendant of America. Then it's also connected to the ascendant of Netanyahu, Iran, and Joe Biden. So we got a lot of energy for that part of the world story in a new beginning, but we're talking about Mars, the warrior. So I don't know, we could just say Mars, we can make him a warrior champion hero, but let's face it, he also likes to shoot, he likes to blow things up, he likes to cut, sever, and end, he likes to do war, battle-y things. That's what he does. He's a warrior, basically. He's a soldier. He can be a rescue fighter, a firefighter, an EMT at times as well, but he definitely can do war. All right, one last story before we do the all signs and talk about what this may mean for you. That's Hygeia. She rules medicine, doctors, nurses, medical procedures, medical stories. Hygeia very much connected during the pandemic. She moves through here every 4 or 5 years to when we all had to mask up, we had to hand wash and social distance, we had to isolate, we had to quarantine. That's Hygeia in the sign of society, or we the people, Aquarius. She's back there, and they're now telling everybody to wear masks again. In China, although it turns out that masks made people worse. In the latest study that just came out, they don't know why, but the places that had the highest uptake of mask wearing had the worst outcomes in COVID, the sickest people, and the most COVID cases. Now, this study came out. I just heard it today on the news. Okay, so this is new. So those masks, I think, might have actually pushed the COVID virus deeper into the lungs. I'm thinking maybe people who were masked just thought they were safe, like a magical talisman with a paper mask on their face, not an N95, and they ended up getting sick, you know, because they were just saying, I'm safe, I've got this mask, where the unmasked people were more cautious. So that's probably really what that was about. But here we have Hygeia. Should we all get very COVID-y again? She's in this part of the sky, suggesting we might need to pay attention to hygiene measures in the 6 months that follow this moon. And the reason I'm bringing her up is she's at 23 degrees, and she's forming this little triangle called a mini grand trine, okay, to what? A mini grand trine to the lunation. It's a sextile to the lunation, and it's a sextile to Chiron on the north node with Panacea. But that's why I also think there's a medical treatment, healing, cure, because there's a mini grand trine involving Panacea and Hygeia. So if someone track me, would somebody get back to me and watch this? I always forget what I say, but if we don't have something come up in the month after, 2 weeks to a month after this moon, certainly I'm expecting a major news story about a medical breakthrough. That brings us back to Baba Vanga, because Baba Vanga said not only was Putin likely to be terminated by, a difficult, ASSINATION situation in 24, but she actually apparently predicted a cure for cancer, whether it was a cure for cancer in 24 or a medical breakthrough that's a cure or remedy for everything in the health field. I wouldn't be surprised, but something like that could come up. Are you guys ready for the all signs portion? I sure am. It's been a long day in November. I've been recording videos for the all signs 24. I'm just about finished. And they're all longer than I thought. Most of them, they're 75 minutes to 90 minutes, but quite a few of them are turning out to be 90 minutes long. It's been so much fun, though, to get this sort of lay of the 2024 stuff down for each of the 12 signs. If you don't know what I'm talking about, my 2024 all signs videos are pre-order sale, delivered December 1st for only $49. And you get all 12 for that much money, which is a deal. And it'll never be that price again. It'll be $77. And after December 2nd, you can buy them a la carte. But if you get this video and you're listening to it before December 1st, at the end of the day, at midnight, you can still grab that $49 bundle. All right, let's get rolling. I'm going to clear the annotations. First, I'll stop the share. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. And thank you to all my regulars, Discerning Light, Ashley Sending Light, Ace of Spades, Jupiter 8, Stephen the Jupiterian, L.A. Taylor, Serge LaBelle, Michael Thrash, Linda Calder, One Wise Lady, One Rare Bird, Misbehaving. Did I say you already? So many, Crystalline Alchemist, Herbal Empress, who just had our new baby, and Anastasia, I think you're from South Africa. And Plen, who shows up now and then from the Netherlands. Oh, I forgot. The names come to me. I keep forgetting some of you guys. Of course, Psychic Readings with Rose, Bold and Beautiful Tarot. And I'm forgetting people. Thanks for being a part of my regular crew who over the last year or two are coming to my live premiere, supporting my channel, hitting the like button. I had a couple premieres lately where more than 500 and something people showed up, and I really appreciate that. That's taking a lot of your time to be with me in a live premiere. And what that means is for every video I put out, unless something happens and I can't make it, I'm usually there. I pre-record it, I release it as a premiere, and we discuss the content together in the chat. That includes you asking me personal questions about yourself in relationship to the current sky. Obviously, I'm not doing a full reading with you, but I'm there to discuss the content and get to know you as well. Informed community on a broadcast platform. All right. I have a regress Gemini sun. And right now, that means Mars is in Sag, and the trolls have been coming so out of the woodwork, it's insane. If you have nothing nice to say or nothing constructive to say, and you're listening to me now, I've talked too fast. Yeah, I do. You can change the playback speed. I don't have to talk slower. You can listen slower. But if you don't like this kind of content, if this is not, I'm blog style, I'm real, I got bad lighting some days, I talk about my Negronis. If you don't like what I'm doing, or you don't like mundane astrology, then you can always find another channel, and it's all right with me. So why people troll? Maybe because they're miserable and are unhappy in their own lives. Maybe it's just as a sport pastime. But I'm going to compile a little thing with like the trolls that I've had in the last, since Mars went into Sag. It's so over the top. I just think it's going to be a funny post to put out there on my community page to show you guys what kind of stuff I have to deal with. All right, let's get moving and talk about your sign. We're going to start with Aries. I'm going to show you the sky again. We're going to spend not too long on this one, but I'm really going to focus on the Chironic element, where there's a real healing of the north towards that north node, engendering support to move in a panacea, a remedy in your life for everything that ails you, and where you may see through the rose-colored glasses as well about something that's going to dispel an illusion or a misperception you've had, or some kind of fantastical, hopeful situation around a long-term or enduring or contractual agreement or commitment. It can be in love, it can be in business, it can be in any situation where you really feel like you have to stick around, and you might be wondering if you're doing it for the right reasons. Those are the themes we'll be covering in the all signs. These will play out not just in the 2 weeks after the moon, but it will also play out in the 6 months after the new moon, because every new moon begets a full moon. And 6 months later, you have a full moon in Sagittarius during the Gemini season. Gemini season, of course, is the May, June time of year. So I'm going to pause the recording to, no, not pause the recording, just change the screen. Okay. And we're going to move back to the story of the moon. Ah! Sorry, guys. I'm having challenges. There we go. So it's not a tech challenge. Okay, Lori Mars, who commented on my channel, this is not a tech challenge. This is me just cueing the thing. You know, I don't have to have massive tech failures or anything like that. So we're going to move to Aries. And some of you know I'm a one-woman show. I don't have a staff, okay? So I don't have a staff of editors. I don't have a customer service department. So please bear with me as I do my best here. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. Hang on while I just check my time. Yes, Aries, sun, moon, rising sign. I have one of you have an Aries, moon, and sun. So number one, this is a fire moon, and all fire moons, especially new moons, are beneficial to you because they flow towards you. The moon is flowing in the direction of you from the 9th house to the 1st house. This can be a strong and fresh and wonderful and passionate and powerful new beginning to do with foreign lands, travel to foreign lands, foreign shores and foreign residences, foreigners, third marriages, really ginning up to something good. Academic settings, book publishing deals, and maybe even a new spiritual philosophy that you look like an ardent zealot for. You got your fire, your Sag fire in the house of God. And in the next, I guess I'm going to say in the next 6 months, a lot of you are going to also come to terms with healing something about your identity, Chiron, Panacea. There's a remedy for everything, but the remedy may also be very much connected to your spiritual philosophy, your idealism, your ideology, and how you see the world working for you, not against you. You know, an expression, something good is always trying to happen, or there are no accidents. These kinds of things could be coming through in spades because, you know, Sag is about that faith, that hope, that optimism, and all of that may be landing on your doorstep. New beginnings in higher education, applying for schools, getting into your favorite school, going back to school, maybe things like that. Now, I do want to mention that Shallah is involved in this, and that is a stinger of the poisonous stinger in a new moon in the 9th house. The only thing I could say is be careful you don't get stung by a snake, a spider, or food poisoned or something like that. More like snake or spider in this chart by virtue, or food poisoning, because Jupiter rules this and he's in the house of what you put in your mouth. So if you do travel abroad, you might be at more of a risk for these kinds of events in the 6 months that follow. You're going to clear the fog of some illusion, delusion, addiction, self-undoing, or self-defeating pattern. You know, Mars is squaring off with Neptune in that 12th house. And you may be committed for too long to some kind of work situation that you realize it's no longer tenable. The contractual and vows and agreements in the house of work, your commitments to work and work situations are also something that Mars may want to shear away. And your illusions, delusions as well about the maybe the usefulness of this work commitment or job commitment, woo, and or relationship commitment if it's a commitment to a work situation relationship. Like maybe you're committed to your story of loving your loving your colleagues and employees and employers. Okay, so I'm having to pause because I just tried to move a makeshift table on a bed and the whole thing is about to tip upside down. Give me a minute. Oh my God, I can't pause it. I just about collapsed the entire thing. This is not a tech challenge. This is what happens when you're traveling and you don't have your home studio. Moving forward, back to where we were for Aries. So Aries, you might need to break an agreement. You might have to quit your job. You might have to get out of there. But if you do, you might want to do it because, okay, Mars in the 9th house can help you win a legal battle. Is there anybody here who needs to win a legal battle who's an Aries to do with things to do with the work environment? Then this could also be a story that takes place in a couple of weeks and 2 months after this lunation, and you may be powering up to win some kind of amazing legal situation, because I do like Mars up here with a new moon. I think that stinger is you stinging, or your lawyer stinging their way to success. But anyway, you may want to cut away from also some kind of situation where you find yourself bound to or committed to some sort of regime around, cigarettes, wine, beer, all of that. Neptune can bring you in touch with a need to shear away from some more habitual habit-forming substance ingestions of some sort. Everyone knows about my wine lover's middle way. I'm working on it, guys. I'm working on it. Moving on to the next story. Anything else I want to say for you guys? Not really. I think that we're covering the gist of it, the meat of it. We're getting the meat of it here, right? Let me one more thing for everybody. Hygeia wants to heal something in your house of great gains from your career, but it's all relevant. The career gains and the success in your career, it's all relevant to healing that thing that has to do with what you need to shear away. Mars is the one cutting and shearing, and he's gently shearing issues around the earning structures in your life. He's doing a nice touch of a sextile to Hygeia. So it's not the most challenging of cutaways. And again, it helps you heal something physically, mentally, or emotionally. So you're almost having a healing in the house of friendships, alliances, groups of belonging, and also the means by which you create your earnings in your career space, and also some of the dreams and longer range goals and wishes you have for your life. And it may be even a good idea for me to just take away some of the extraneous stuff. We'll leave it like that. Next, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. So as a Taurus, you're in a situation here where this new moon is happening in the sign of Sagittarius. This is happening in your house of chunky money. Now, that is the kind of money you don't earn, right? You're not making it. It's not a paycheck. You don't go to the job every day. Don't get it because you sold your, furniture. It's really because you get a chunk of money because maybe you got an inheritance, maybe you got a tax rebate, maybe you got some insurance payout, maybe you got alimony, spousal support, great division of assets, maybe you got a stock that took off in an investment strategy. All right, so that money, Mars is firing up on all cylinders here, wants to conquer Wuhan and be successful. He wants to harvest some goodness, Ceres, and he's connected as well to a new beginning, new moon, new start, fresh beginning. Now, what I think about this, in this case, is because he's also forming a trine or a flow, this very healing to the 12th house. You may also be looking at this in a psychological way, because 8th house is your own psychology. It's kind of like the unconscious part of you that you're not sure WTF is really going on. Like, why do I keep doing those self-undoing, self-sabotaging things? Why am I addicted to, my nicotine, or why can't I just quit the Haagen-Dazs? There's a lot of that 12th house healing going on, and you're being propelled to heal those sorts of self-undoing, sabotaging things. But banking, bank loans, mortgages, Mars here, you're also cutting away, shearing, and ending a pattern around finances, credit cards, debt, loans, mortgages, as well as psychological self-undoing and addictions. And in the next 6 months, you'll see exactly what I mean. Will there be a sting here? That's the question. The stinger's here, so some of you may experience some hardship with those kinds of money in order to create a profound healing. You have to maybe clear away some of your perceptual windows here of how you see things in your sky right now. And what I mean by that, I think I'm going to try a new place, is that I think you're going to turn yourself into a kind of discernment machine. Yes, I love that word, discernment machine. And what are you going to discern? You're discerning who you want to be in friendship with. You know, with Neptune in the house of groups of belonging and friends, it can be something like you're tired of hanging out with the alcoholic crowd. Oh my God, you're tired of hanging out with you're tired of hanging out with mentally ill people. You're tired of being friends with people who are fanaticals in religious structures or something. And all of this is to say you're changing all of this stuff up. I do apologize, but what can you do? And I'm on the road. So, and the other thing I want to say about this is you can also be very discerning about changing what you think are your long-range goals and plans for your life, because that's what can happen here. There's no doubt about it. We've got that Neptune in your house of long-range plans and goals where you've been deluded and not sure about what you should be doing. And now Saturn is sober-minded and realistic. And this new moon means over the next 6 months, you may just actually restructure some of your long-range plans and some of your long-range goals. Well, that's not much better. And then finally, I think with Juno here, Juno is like, where are you committed in a romantic love partnership or overly committed to a child? And Mars wants to shear it away. And he can shear it a lot of different ways from the 8th house. But he can bring secrets to light. He can bring forbidden topics to light. He can bring forbidden love affairs to light. But something needs to break or shear around commitments to either a child or to a longer term love relationship. Maybe for some of you to an entrepreneurial project or business as well. And that would benefit you. There's some healing going on with Hygeia in your 10th house of career. You're trying to heal something that has to do with your reputation and career ambitions and goals and how you might want to achieve success. And you want to bring that kind of success that you can achieve. All right, that your goal is to bring it into balance, especially when it comes to things to do with your sense of financial balance because of the 8th house connection, and also psychological, emotional balance. And so you're really working very deeply to heal not only your career, reputation, and ambition, but also perhaps a significant romantic relationship that maybe needs to be, you need to let go of it, basically. I'm going to just change my location. I'll be right back. I don't know why, but I think I'm going to get a lot of grief in the troll city for this. Like, how dare I move around and have bad lighting, be disorganized or something like that. You know, you get jaded on YouTube. I just want to talk a little bit about myself here. You do get jaded on YouTube. It gets really difficult after a while, you know, to like, I don't know, stay in this environment because as much as I have really amazing people that are always connected to me on here, it gets exhausting. It really does. You know, you just go delete the troll or pin the troll or respond intelligently to the troll. None of these things matter. So maybe I should just block the troll. All right, moving back to the story, I apologize. I'm just anticipating the next iteration of Mars and Sag opposite my progressed Gemini sun. Alrighty, here we go. We're done with you, Tauruses. All right, we're moving into the next story, which is Gemini. All right, Gemini, yeah, there's Mars opposite you. Watch out for those trolls. In the next 6 months, you're baking in a lot of negativity coming off of conflictual energies, the marriage house. Now, if it's your, you know, if it's your sun, it's about your career. If it's your moon, it's about your mom and mother figures. If it's about your ascendant, it's about everything. So, you know, this energy of Mars in the 7th house is very difficult for a lot of people because it means you're coming into contact with Martian energies, Martian people, and Martian interactions, which can be combat, conflict, disagreement, anger. So look for this energy here, though, to say and I have a video about Mars and Sag, go watch it, that came out already. But this Mars is saying something along the lines of, is it out already? Maybe not. Yeah, I think it is out. It's out, Mars and Sagittarius. But this is Mars saying something like, we're going to make a new beginning and a new moon in a significant business or love partnership. It can also involve a new relationship to your audience, client, and marketplace, says Lori, the progressed Gemini sun. And this new beginning will take 2 weeks after and 6 months after to fulfill itself. Because the Shallah stinger is there, the poisonous Scorpio tail is there, you might feel very stung by a significant person or peoples in your life, particularly, again, could be audience, client, marketplace stuff, the public, but it can also be being stung by your love partner, your committed love partner, and even by your business partner if you have one. Legal contracts could be very sharp and stingy here as well. However, I do think you can look at this as a new beginning that has a profound healing on your 11th house. And that's how you make those great career gains, you know, the raises, the promotions, the money, the earnings from your 10th house of career. And you're healing that in relationship to significant people and peoples in your life in that 7th house. You also can find that there's a cure, a remedy for everything, the panacea to all that ails you in the earnings of from your career relative to your legal contracts, agreements, and outreach and / business and love partnerships. I wonder too, you know, that you can heal or profoundly revise and heal some kind of sense of disconnect from the longer term wishes, goals, and dreams, the way you'd like your 5 and 9 year plan, 10-year plans, and 12-year plans to work. That kind of forward looking, visionary, what you want for your life 11th house is having a cure for everything and a healing. So let's see what that looks like when time passes over the next few months. This new moon is also you know, squaring Neptune, and Mars wants to shear the fog, cut the fog, dispel the fog with his fiery self of where you've been in a sort of a foggy, confusing, glowy, hopeful, rose-colored glasses about things you wish to achieve in your reputation and career. Well, technically, though, Neptune can be videography, filmography, photography, for example. That therefore he rules TikTok, Instagram Reels, you know, videography as in YouTube platforms, TV platforms, moving imagery platforms. That can literally say you may cut away from that in the next 6 months. I'm just thinking about people like me who are on the internet who might want to just quit that whole thing altogether. However, you also can see that Mars is also square Juno in your 4th house. What kind of contracts, vows, and agreements have you made around property, land, and real estate that you need in the 6 months to break away from or renegotiate in a very strong and fiery way? Or may somebody else who's made a legal contract with you regarding home, property, and real estate is going to want to break it. Like I look at me, I've got a lease with a lady in Sweden. I live in Vancouver, Canada. She may want to change the terms of the agreement in the next 6 months, whether it's breaking it or just changing the terms. That's very common when Mars squares something like Juno in the 4th house. Also, we can see that there is this this Hygeia, what needs to be healed in the house of God, hope, faith, you know, your spiritual philosophy. Mars is like leaning into that, trying to open up a sweet door for healing, you know, some kind of spiritual philosophy could be healed, some kind of way of seeing the world, understanding the meaning of life. Very sweet possibility of a gentle healing with Mars's sextile to Hygeia, but Hygeia is also sextile to Panacea. So there's a real remedy for whatever ails you. And again, if we go back to the 9th house being about revenue and gains from your career, well, then you could remedy that by writing a book, publishing a book, going to a foreign land, traveling to a foreign country. You know, these are Hygeia stories in the 9th house of foreign shores, travel, book publishing, and all of that. All right, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. This is the story here of you going through a period of time in which you have a new moon coming up on December 12th, and it's happening in your 6th house, and it can unfold as a fresh beginning and a new start in terms of livelihood, in terms of work, in terms of health, in terms of pet situations and rental situations. Some of you may rent a property in the wake of this, or lease a property, or you may get a new pet in the next 6 months. You're having a reset button. But you've got Mars here, and Mars is in his joy in the ancient Hellenistic tradition. So he's strongly placed and he's fiery. He likes that. You're ambitious. It could be a period of inciting 6 months of really hard work, but you're driven, you're ambitious, and you're passionate. If you need any surgery to fix a body problem, that could help with Mars's reset here for 6 months. Also, you may also end certain things, cut away and end certain things that you shouldn't eat or put in your mouth, because he's with that sun that rules things you eat. So for better health, Mars can get you exercising and a new exercise discipline with Wuhan here. Some of you'll be doing martial arts exercises, but you may start new fiery, passionate exercises like running, jogging, martial arts in the next 6 months. And you will conquer your work situations and conquer your health problems with Wuhan Mars here. Watch out for, of course, Shallah. Shallah in the house of sickness is watch for your own aptitude for poisoning Food poisoning is most likely because the sun rules at the house of things you put in your mouth. So watch out for poisoned substances going in your mouth. Be very careful if you're a Cancer, sun, moon, and rising, particularly around food poisoning. So use food safety in the next 6 months. You can see that there's a square off to Neptune. Neptune wants you to see through a fog unclearly with your rose-colored glasses, an unsure illusion or a fantasy about things to do with ninth house matters. That can be about academic, book publishing, foreign shores, visas, travel, but also your spiritual philosophy. While Neptune can bring you enlightenment, Saturn's bringing it down to earth. No more rainbows and unicorns and wistful thinking. If you're going to have a spiritual philosophy, religion, or way of seeing the world, Saturn makes sure that it gives you tangible results, and it's very, very reliable and will last a long time because it's useful and trustworthy. So Mars is saying something like, hey, let's shear away some of the illusions you might have here about your spiritual philosophy or beliefs. That could be one thing that's happening in the next 6 months. Also, he is gently applying, well, first of all, he's squaring Juno. Do you need to break an agreement with a cousin, a sibling, a neighbor? Do you need to break a contractual or vow of some kind with one other person that is somehow connected to third house folks? You know, again, siblings, cousins, neighbors. However, Juno is in a travel house as well, and also a learning house as well as Neptune. Some of you who may have thought you wanted to write a project and get it published have changed your mind or breaking the agreement with the publisher. Some of you may be breaking agreements around educational settings where you maybe agreed to take a course or go to that school. And I'd say in the next 6 months, some of you, Cancer, sun, moon, and risings, will break those agreements because of whatever Mars is up to. Looks like breakage here. And lastly, you might I did cover it. No, gently heal your longer term chunky money stories. Mars says from the sixth house of debt, Hygeia, and the house of mortgages and banks, maybe you're going to be looking at how to eliminate Mars, a major financial debt, in the 6 months that follows this particular story. And I think that you could do that through maybe things you're doing in your reputation and career space as well, making more money, basically. Especially with Jupiter in the house of great gains ruling this lunation. It's like Jupiter wants you to get more financial success in your work and career, and Mars says, and let's use it to pay down debts or pay off debts. So you can get a career up level, basically, a new job or a higher paying job in the 6 months that follows this lunation. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign, a fiery, a new beginning with Mars trining you from the 5th house. Feels really good for you. You like it. It's flowing back at you, but there's some big changes going on, Leo, with your children. You may have an argument, a disagreement. A child may move out of the home. You may have Mars has been here for a while. Go watch my Mars and Sag video. Maybe there's going to be a real blowout with a child, but also a lover or a romantic partner as well. Now, Mars doesn't mind being here because he can be very competitive in the 5th house, and it could instigate a couple weeks after this, and even up to 6 months after, a real competitive spirit. If you're an entrepreneur, this really does serve you to ratchet up a whole new level of entrepreneurial passion and drive, and also for your creative projects, and conquer the day, win the day with that. However, Mars here with Shallah could be some stingy, poisonous, difficult situation with a lover or a child. You want to be really careful here. I don't like Shallah, Mars in this context with STDs. I hate to say it, if you're like kind of playing the field, Leo, be very, very careful with your sex life and sexual hygiene, basically, especially with Hygeia in the house of 7th house saying hygiene when you're in a relationship and having intimacy from the 5th house. I want to say that Mars wants to cut away, dispel the fog, shear away any kind of misunderstandings, misinformation, and illusions around money you share with a spouse, money you share with a business partner, money you share with a bank or mortgage holder, mortgage situation. I mean, it's that money that's yours that you can leverage it, right? Investment monies. There's something that you're not seeing clearly, maybe perceiving correctly. The fog needs to dispel. Mars wants you to take action and decisions about your long-range money in the 8th house of chunky money based on no fog in the scene. And of course, I like the idea that Saturn's also watching over you to stabilize and give you realistic looking at this story. I don't know. In the 6 months that follows, you could really rearrange the fiscal hygiene between you and your business partner or spouse with Hygeia in the 7th house. Juno says you may also want to, because she's moneta, she makes coinage, and she is, by the way, trining that Jupiter Uranus, but Mars is squaring her. You might want to break away from some kind of earning strategy that has been bounteous and prosperous for you, because don't forget, you've had Jupiter in your 10th house since last year. And with Uranus, do something innovative, original, and new, something outside the box of what you tried before regarding earnings and money. And you may even change your job as you break away from a contract or agreement in the earning strategy to do something new and fresh in the 6 months that follow this moon. But look for clues of that in the 2 weeks that follow. All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is the energy of a new beginning, a new moon in your 4th house of home and real estate, property, domestic, private life, your family of origin, your childhood. You can have a new beginning in a home. It's really simple to me. It's like a lot of you are resetting a button to Mars move passionately, aggressively, right, away from a current place you're living, or there are going to be significant changes in the home. This can also bring a lot of conflict into the home over the course of the next 6 months, a lot of fighting, a lot of disagreement, a lot of challenges in your home or with somebody you spend time with in the home. So keep that in mind. This new beginning has that conquering vibe of Wuhan down here, but it's got the stingy scorpion tail as well. Be careful, obviously, for insects in your home. It sounds crazy, but next 6 months, be careful that you don't get bit by an insect in your home. That's what it looks like to me. Be cautious. What are you going to do? Get an exterminator in preemptively? No, but just know that that kind of thing sometimes is very literal. Doesn't mean you're going to pass away from a scorpion sting. It just means you could watch out for stinging things in the home. Mars is injury and accidents in the home, and it's shallow sting. So stinging injuries in the home, be careful for that. Burns, maybe. Mars is trying to open up some healing in your 8th house. What do you want to heal? The North Node 8th house stuff. It's like heal your chunky money, heal your long-term monies you share with your business partner, spouse, heal your mortgage payments, heal your bank loans, heal your credit card debts. Especially with Hygeia in the 6th house of debt, a lot of you will be able to heal any debt you have with any debt situation, from banks to other people you owe money to, or to credit cards and stuff. So healing of debts are definitely possible in the next 6 months. For many of you, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign, also healing workplace problems. If you've been misplaced in the workplace, not enjoying the workplace, Hygeia is to heal that, but also maybe possibly hygiene in the workplace. I really hope that's not true, but it may indicate you might work in an environment that's medical or requiring people to mask up in the next 6 months. I also would say that you could shear away any illusions you have about your significant romantic and long-term partner and or business partners, or about people that you serve in an audience, customer, marketplace way. But getting rid of this illusionary fog, knowing Saturn is here for a couple more years and was here last year, making your relationship feel more hard, or making you more realistic or sober-minded about that relationship or your partner. You're coming down to reality with that relationship. It's no more, woo, big love. Now it's like really hard-ass real since last year. And that reality is asking you to structure a new foundation that can last. But if you can't, in the next couple of years, some of you Virgo risings will end that relationship, or that relationship will crumble because the foundation isn't there for it to continue. So in that sense, I'm bringing that up is because this lunation in the next 6 months could be one of the big deciding factors, because it's going to create a shearing energy to not just the whole sign shear to Saturn, but also to Neptune more acutely. So you may find yourself shearing away. I like the word shearing. I don't know, because I think it's like wind shear or something when I'm in Sagittarius, shearing away from that relationship. And you're healing yourself, maybe in the long game of getting into a place of wellness, because Hygeia in the 6th house is trying to bring you wellness, mental, emotional, and physical wellness. You got the divorce and marriage goddess Juno traveling through your sign. By the way, she's there for quite a while. She's going to be, I can't remember how long, but into next year. And this can definitely look like we got this question mark: should I stay or should I go? Is this the right union for me? Is this the right commitment for me? So I see a lot of potential change around home, maybe about relationship. Finally, there could be disputes with someone you're in a relationship with regarding real estate and property and mortgages and finances, and you're trying to find the path through that in the next 6 months. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is a story where a new moon is setting itself in motion on December 12th, and it's happening in your third house of trips, travel, siblings, cousins, local neighborhood, online world, writing projects, periodicals, magazines, and online social media platforms. Skills-based learning, short distance trips and travel. Did I say all of it? Yeah, it's a kitchen drawer house, cadent third house, junk drawer. A lot can change, right? Because there's a lot of meaning there. So if you're going to make changes there, new beginnings, fresh starts, you're doing it with bold ambition, drive, and a lot of fiery zest. Certainly it can be, you want to cut away from some online platforms. You want to move away from a certain neighborhood that you no longer enjoy. You might have some disputes with neighbors and neighborhood people, some disputes with a younger sibling, some disputes or disagreements with cousins or extended family in the 6 months that follows this particular moon. And Mars, however, wants to heal something in your 7th house. And that could be to heal how you approach long-term committed love, because Chiron North Node is trying to help you heal that. And vows of commitment and monogamy in business and love partnerships can be under a healing auspices during the next 6 months. And you're looking for that remedy, that panacea, the thing that can cure your ails in that committed love, relationship, business partnership spectrum of your sky. But also at the same time, Mars is shearing away and cutting and helping you see more clearly what you need to see in your 6th house. Now, 6th house can be to shear away and cut away from addiction, mental health challenges, you know, those things that Neptune can activate in the 6-12 axis. Neptune may have you leave behind the dreamy, fantastical wish fulfillment of the perfect job that no longer feels so great. And you may be looking December 12th at 6 months onward of finding not just a new job, but a new path in life, a new, more holistic and true and well-being version of a livelihood. Now, Hygeia and Mars is passion and drive, and it could involve travel. And sure, in the next 2 weeks after this or 6 months after, you could travel with a great vim and vigor. But he's also in a flow to, well, he's in a whole sign sextile, as is this lunation, to Hygeia. And so there's a vibe here of sexual healing a relationship with your own romantic ideations, healing a situation with a child, or around fertility and pregnancy as well for some of you Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign folk. Finally, what vows, contracts, and agreements have you made to yourself to stop doing something you shouldn't do? Usually, I think when I see Juno back there in the 12th house, the vows and agreements that you want to commit to are usually self-made. And with Neptune and Saturn across the way, it's usually about health and wellness, about addictions and self-sabotage, and ways you may undo yourself. And so you're making some kind of critical juncture here because Mars is kind of angular and activating that Juno in your 12th. And so you're making some big changes that allow you to move forward, to break free of self-undoing, self-sabotaging addictions and psychological and emotional bad patterns and habits. Finally, Mars could say, go to school, learn, figure something out. In the next 6 months, some of you could be really studying, learning, researching, understanding things to do with those themes I just mentioned. And Mars is passionate down there, so you could be writing, could be journaling, could be doing lots of that, and skills-based education could really draw you in the 6 months that follow, how to do something, as opposed to like a philosophy doctorate. All right, let's go into Scorpio, sun, moon, rising. So Mars is your ally because he's the lord of your sign, and he's going to be creating a new beginning in the workhouse. This is your possessions, earnings, self-worth and value, voice, vocation and calling, sharp speech, hard speech, stinging speech. You want to be talking very strongly. Depends on what you use your voice for. If you use your voice as a musician or an artist, for instance, with Neptune over here, then you're just getting on your game. You're really getting in a groove. You've got your voice. You're finding your voice. It's a new beginning, and finding your voice as an artist, for example, whether it's a literal voice or a writing voice, it doesn't really matter. On the other hand, it's a change of job and a new beginning. So somehow, maybe in the next couple of years, you're going to change your job. couple of weeks after this, or the 6 months that follow, a change of career, a change of job. Now, because the sun and moon, the sun is part of it. The sun rules your reputation and career space. This is for a lot of you. Scorpios will be a move towards a new form of livelihood and a new direction in earning money. because you want to cut shear away with that Ceres, but be prosperous at the same time. It can be very literal sometimes as well. I mean, you may have a financial sting with this Shallah new moon. Something really stings you, like you get demoted. You don't get the commission you thought. You don't get the promotion you wanted, and that it disappoints you. And maybe you will make changes in the 6 months that follow in the work environment based on this lack of feeling good about the money and earnings story. I think that Mars, though, wants to heal something very profound. It wants to find the remedy, the cure for everything, for you to be on purpose and you like your work and your work environment, your livelihood, your circumstances around your work, and your physical health as well. This certainly speaks to me for a lot of Scorpios of ditching that south node in your 12th house, north node in the 6th house, Panacea, finding the remedy, the one thing that cures you of your nicotine addiction or your alcohol problem or your whatever, worse addictions, you know. So you might find I tried psilocybin. I was no longer craving that substance, or I did some kind of, I took nicotine patch and I no longer wanted to. You could find a remedy, a cure-all for some kind of situation of addiction or a substance dependencies or habits, right? Doesn't have to be full-on addiction. You can find some of those evidences in the 2 months that follow and the 6 months. I focus on that because you have a Mars in the house of what you put in your mouth, right? And Shallah is you put poison things in your mouth, and those substances that are poisonous can be healed and removed from your body and your life in the 6 months that follow. Of course, watch for food poisoning as well with Shallah and Mars in that over the next 6 months. Also, I want to point out that Mars wants to shear away some kind of illusion about children, romance, sexuality. You got a lot of hard work here too, and maybe it's your creativity, and you've been in a kind of a fantastical rainbow and unicorn vibe about your art, your creativity, your entrepreneurial business. Mars is kind of like, really, let's take away the illusion and let Saturn in the 5th house give you the real goods. What is possible? What is realistic? What is sober-minded? What is tangible and useful here about your entrepreneurial endeavors, your creativity, or even about children? You know, maybe you were thinking you're going to have a kid, but Saturn's like, it's not the time, wait a couple more years. And you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I mean, if you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. Okay. I mean, the idea of having a child with somebody. You could have this energy here during this moon. I mean, unfolds over 6 months of wanting to break away from a particular commitment to a friend or to some group of belonging. So, you know, maybe you're expected to be at the rowing club every 6 a.m. for a practice, and you say, I don't think so. Maybe you're expected to attend, you know, the homeowners meetings every once a month, and you can quit those kinds of clubs or groups of belonging, societies of belonging, because Mars is squaring Juno, that commitment energy in that part of your sky. So look for that as a possibility as well in the next 6 months. You might want to heal something about your home. You know, Hygeia in the 4th house, you know, sextiling the lunation and Mars. How can something to do with voice, vocation, earnings really be a healing of your family of origin stories, your childhood, things that happen in your childhood? Healing the stories of your family of origin can really open you up for some reason here to a potential real movement towards right purpose and right job, a right career. Lastly, hygiene in the house. You might have to clean the house, you know, do a detox in the house. You might have to do a deep clean, get a mold removal in there, find out what's not healthy in your house, and you need to clean it up. For a lot of Scorpios, hygiene in the house, Hygeia in the house is a story in the next 2 weeks after the moon and 6 months after. Like, it could just be someone does like, what's that black stuff on the wall? And someone says black mold, and like, oh no, we got to clean that up. Or you find out there's asbestos in your roof. I mean, these things are very possible because the poisonous Shallah star sextiling Hygeia is what poisons are in your home that you might want to get rid of as a Scorpio sun, moon, and rising over the next 2 months and 6 months that follow. 2 weeks and 6 months that follow. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. In the sky, you're seeing here the movement of a new moon into December 12th into your house of you. Now, this is your reset button every year. You are resetting your identity. You are changing directions. Mars is here. You have new momentum. You're more driven, passionate. You're also cutting and sharp and excising what you don't want from your life. Yay. People, places, and things. Goodbye. Slice dice. You kind of have that momentum now. Add 2 weeks from this moon and add 2 months. New beginnings, new moons. You're in command. You've got the Wuhan asteroid. You're acting like a conqueror of what? Whatever you need to conquer. You may look at this as a trine to the North Node and Chiron as really healing something here to do with your identity as it relates to romantic love and sexuality. And there's a very strong possibility that the remedy is a passionate romantic engagement, the remedy for everything, the cure-all. Also, you could possibly be healing a relationship to your children or your children in the 6 months that follow. Also, if you're an entrepreneur or a creative person, you're healing things to do with not believing your creative powers are good enough, not being able to trust that your entrepreneurial skill sets are good enough. So those fifth house kinds of self-starter energies, self-starter enterprises or creative projects are being also restored to a better place in the next 2 weeks and 6 months. I'm losing my voice because I've been recording all day, so apologize. Mars is also wanting to shear away any kind of illusion, delusion, misunderstanding, misinformation around your childhood, around your mom, around situations to do with your ancestral line. Fourth house matters, but also any illusions you had about your home base. Maybe you thought, yeah, this is my dream home, and now you're rethinking it. Saturn is much more realistic than you think. He's like, what, can you really live here? Is this really where you want to spend all your time? And I would expect that Mars squaring the fourth house would mean a new home in the next 6 months for some of you, especially if your IC floats in whole sign houses in the fourth house. So you may be picking up and moving as a result of this towards something that's more realistic and less fantastical and really serves a longer range purpose for you, with Saturn wanting it to be long range satisfying. You could also find yourself wanting to clean up your relationships with the younger sibling, heal the sibling relationship, cousin relationships, heal the relationships with neighbors, or move to a more healing neighborhood environment. Again, perhaps a move in the next 6 months after this, or in the couple of weeks after this. And if you can see up there, you've got that, what kind of contract, vow, agreement have you made to a career and reputation story that you realize you no longer want to keep? And sometimes, because when we get married, it's a 10th house story. It's a house of weddings. And this is a house of marriage, goddess of marriage in the house of weddings, your 10th house. And Mars is cutting. So you may cut away from an existing love relationship. Okay. It's a marriage. It's a vow. Now, what is a marriage? It can be a legal marriage. It certainly can be, but it can also be like a common law. But there's a sense of your reputation and cutting away from I am married. When someone's born with like Juno on the midheaven, it's Sonny and Cher, Brad and Angelina, and Bill and Hillary. They end up being known for their marriage, right? Well, your marriage is up there, the marriage goddess, and she's being sharply snipped by poisonous and commanding new moon and new beginning. So I'm going to say that you will probably want to cut away, some of you, from a relationship that's not working for you in the 6 months that follows this moon. And maybe discombobulating things happening in the 2 weeks that follow that give you clues that that's probably a good idea. You can also cut away from job contracts and agreements that you no longer believe are right for you in the 2 weeks and or 6 months that follow the moon. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Okay, what a hot mess in your 12th house. New moon in the 12th house is soul work, deep soul work, new beginnings, deep soul work, deep psychological, spiritual, emotional, past life stuff. Of course, we have a practical meaning of the 12th house. It's travel to foreign lands, moving your residence to foreign lands, revenue and barter and trade, and international companies that can provide, or foreigners, money and revenue to you. So there's the spiritual side, there's the practical side. Mars likes to eliminate, cut, but he likes to travel. So again, especially in Sagittarius, especially with the Asteroid America, I don't know, that's just there, but, traveling to America, traveling from America, but there's travel. And there's travel for a new beginning. And in the 2 weeks that follow this December 13th moon, you may be traveling to another country, you might be traveling abroad, but the longer range thing is watch the 6 months that follow. And how does long distance travel or long distance foreigner connections that may travel to you even serve you in a longer story to do with what? Well, you're letting go south node of some kind of career and reputation path, and you're forging something new, obviously. That's the nodal axis. And this moon with Mars is flowing to Hygeia, to Chiron in the 4th house of home, property, real estate, Panacea, the remedy for everything. But Rahu, north node, Rahu means foreigner, the foreign person. So foreign lands. Some of you are going to create money from foreigners and foreign lands in the 2 weeks or 6 months that follow the moon. But also, You may be expanding your home and doing a kind of panacea healing of your home, homeland, family of origin, childhood wounds, the relationship to your mother, whether she's alive or not. Hygeia is trying to give you some fiscal hygiene in your spending, second house, in your savings, second house, in your earnings, second house. This moon is favoring this because of the sextile to Hygeia, and with Mars's cooperation, you're moving in a new direction to heal a wound around possessions, earnings, savings and spending, second house matters, and self-worth about those as well. Fiscal hygiene and savings and spendings for sure, but also a healing here. Because also you have this energy of Juno in the 9th house of foreign countries, visas, foreign lands, things to do with academic settings and third marriages. There is some stress here, and you might have to cut away some kind of situation regarding foreigners, foreign shores, visas, passports, academic settings, break a contract, basically, break a vow, break an agreement. Now, it can be an agreement with a foreigner, or it could be an agreement with a legal setting, a court setting, but you're breaking free, breaking through, breaking down, I don't know, some kind of 9th house stuff in the 6 months that follow. It is kind of like with Neptune opposite Juno. Was there a fantasy you had, or an illusion or delusion about a commitment you made to somebody that you now no longer wish to keep because you're really getting a clear beat on it? A commitment with a sibling, a commitment with a father figure, a commitment with a legal institution, a commitment with a academic setting, a commitment to or with a foreigner. Okay, so keep all that in mind. All right, Aquarius, I am one of you. Here we go. I need a vacay, guys. All right, Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. First of all, there's a new moon in your 11th house of great gains and the way you make money and the way you excel and reach your goals in your career, reputation, space. It's kind of like the rewards thereof, right? The perks, rewards, the money, the fame, the recognition, 11th house of the 10th house activity. And you have a reset button. It's starting something new. It's got a little sting up there, a Shallah stinger. How is it feeling stingy to be you very publicly in your career right now, or in the way you're making money? You can see that Mars wants to like flow to Chiron in the 3rd house. Now, 3rd house is writing, it's social media, it's your website, it's your local neighborhood, it's your younger sibling. I'll give you an example for me. My younger sibling, Nancy, does timestamp for me. I'm trying to hire her next year to be my full-time customer service, everything assistant as a full-time employee, because I can't keep doing this myself. So the panacea, the healing is my sibling, 3rd house, younger sibling, becoming a part of my staff, okay? That would be a very simple way of saying this is what this could look like. But because your neighborhood is there and your neighbors, your cousins, your siblings, there's some healing, a remedy, a cure-all for what's difficult and needs to be reset for you in that 11th house, 3rd house axis. Possibly also short distance trips and travel or some skills-based learning can be a remedy for you. Some of you Aquarians may need to sign up for a course with a guide, teacher, mentor, healer, shaman, Chiron, guide, teacher, mentor, healer, shaman, Chiron therapist that has a cure, a panacea for everything that ails you and your mind. Mars wants to cut away the fog and illusion, delusion, and the rainbow and unicorn fantasies you may have about your calling of your voice, your vocation, your calling. If someone has Neptune in the 2nd house, they're doing a lot of speech, talking, and earnings through what? TikTok, Instagram, Reels, and YouTube. It is the planet of those platforms. I am one of you. I am losing my voice. It tells me that I can't keep the pace, right? I know you guys tell me I know you respect that I keep the pace, but it's all about feeding the beast of the YouTube algorithm at what expense. I would say too, though, there is this feeling with this Neptune here that calls you to a really profoundly spiritual alignment with the work you do in the world. And if you have thought you were in alignment and you're not, then Mars will shear away any confusion you had about that. Saturn is also giving you stable financial results and structures for earnings over the next 2 years. Alrighty, you could also feel yourself wanting to make some kind of healing of your body or your mind or your spirit, Hygeia, to do some body, mind, soul hygiene. Mars and this new moon are going to open up doorways for you to do that. And you'll be able to affect that kind of healing, especially through nutrition, because Ceres, the goddess of the harvest, is up there. And perhaps through nutritional healing, you'll find, or herbal healing, or medicine, food as medicine. You can find some real self-body healing over the next 6 months. I did share in my latest video about my knee. That's the one about the rare 240-year Venus transit. Go check it out. That's doing well. And I got so many great suggestions from you guys about arthritic cures. I have a ski injury that creates an osteoarthritis flare in the knee itself from the injury. It's the only part of my body I have arthritis. It's not systemic. And thank you for all your beautiful suggestions. I'm going to try most of them. And so there's healing of the body here that you can affect in the 2 weeks that follow this December 12th moon and in the 6 months that follow. And you're aligning yourself more directly with what you wish to do in terms of earnings and how you wish to make money in a more powerful way. New beginnings, new moons there. Finally, you might have to cut away, shear away, or correct some commitment you've made to money situations that involve other people's money. Now, it could be like cutting away from the credit card situation, or cutting a mortgage agreement and ripping it up, or cutting away from an investment that's no longer serving you in the stock market, cutting away from vows and agreements you've made with somebody else for your shared finances, you know, like your business partner or significant other, and wanting to break an agreement there for some reason, you know, just break a vow, break an agreement. It's also, you know, because you got a lot going on here, right? You've got Juno in the earnings, Neptune in the earnings house, and Juno in the chunky money house. Let me just sit with this. It's like, what would you do with that? Well, it can literally just simply be to rip up a contract, a financial contract. And so whatever that would be, time to terminate it. Like it could be like paying off a debt, you know, putting down a chunk of money and ending a mortgage, paying off a credit card, paying off a loan, something like that. Then you're doing it because Mars is ambitious here, right? And he's in the house of great gains. And he may just be saying, you're going to work in the next 6 months so passionately that you're going to be able to pay off any debts you may have accrued. Okay, let's keep going and talk about Pisces. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign, always the best, always the best, always first, always first. Yeah, so it's going to be a story for you of a new beginning in your career house. You're having a new reset button, a new moon, but you're powerful here. You're driven, you're passionate. You've got Wuhan, you're conquering. Wuhan is China. Maybe you're going to have a career opportunity in China, but you're having a new beginning, a reset button here. You want to see this reset button happen, of course. I mean, if that's what's going to be, you might have evidence of that reset in the career and reputation space in the 2 weeks that follow this new moon, but also in the 6 months that unfold as well. You're healing a wound around your money that started in 2019 around earnings and possessions, savings and spending. And that wound started in 2019 will be finished by 26 with Chiron in your second house. And this could also be any woundology you have around your facial appearance. But anyway, but with Mars up in the top of the sky and the wound and the Panacea and the North Node in the second house, the cure-all for your financial woes is coming in the next 6 months. It can do with foreign countries, foreign lands, foreigners, foreign places, or just some expansion and ambitious success. However, with Hygeia in the house of foreign lands and foreign shores, and she's all about healing something too and being hygienic, there could be some opportunities from foreign places to do with revenue increases or making money through PayPal, Stripe, and international payment processors that can increase your revenue as you move into greater alignment with your truer purpose, Chiron, and you find the one thing that cures all of the problems in your finances. The remedy for everything can be here in the next 6 months. Now also, you've got this Mars at the top of the sky and he's shearing away at Neptune. What is this illusion, delusion, and fog that's persisting in your life about reality? Are you out of touch with reality, Pisces? Because Mars is going, get back to Earth. Like, let me shear away that illusion, delusion, and misperception that you may have about what's real and not real. And, is it real or is it Memorex? Am I real? Who's here? What's here? Who am I? Why am I? So part of the Neptune transit for you since 2011 is to enlighten you, right? But also can create mental health stress. It can also create a passivity, an inability to move off the sofa, a kind of inertia. And then now you get this kind of like slicing through the inertia, some kind of crystalline clarity about what was confusing you, what was unsure, how you were not sure what was true and real, who were you supposed to be. You're having a Saturnian transit. You're being more realistic, more down to earth, more boundaried, more sober-minded. Anyway, right? Because that's the Saturn transit was now moving through your sign for a couple of more years. Then Mars is saying, do we need to shear away, cut away, and a contract of some sort? Juno is in the marriage house, so it's also your business partner house. It's also the house of your audience and marketplace. So possibly some of you may be looking at an opportunity to end or terminate a business and work contract. Now, maybe I'm going to terminate my current place of employment because I know if I move to this healing new place that's a panacea, I'll have something better and it'll look way better on me. Also, there may be some kind of business alliances out of Juno, and Mars is squaring it. Now, it doesn't always have to be the worst case scenario when he squares anything, but there may be some turbulence and some disagreement around the terms of a legal or business contract that you need to negotiate or deal with, and you have to take on a commanding presence to get what you want. Even sharp words and stinging words can be something that are part of the story, or stinging decisiveness, and that's going to maybe be more of an acute story playing out maybe within the month after this moon already, so keep that in mind. It's really a work money kind of lunation for you primarily. Finally, with Hygeia in the 12th house, healing any lingering self-undoing addictions, bad habits, dependencies can be a part of what you're up to here, but it's maybe because you're really kicking up a storm in really a high-powered action in the career and reputation space over the 6 months that follow. Like, for goodness sakes, it looks like a really powerful new beginning in career and money stories for you. All right. And Jupiter is the Lord of the moon, and he's in the house of travel. So or skills-based education or the online world. And these are places where some of this high-powered career reset button can occur over the next 6 months. Thanks, Pisces. I appreciate you taking the time, everybody who was here today, to listen as I try to navigate unsteady light conditions as I'm traveling. And I'm actually settled now in Georgia, but I'm, not in my own home, and I'm having to make do with painters, construction people, varying lights, and no real ring light or anything else to do this work with. So thank you anyway for patience and putting upness. And I am now going to go either have a martini or a Negroni. This is called the wine lover's middle way. Instead of drinking wine, you drink a martini or a Negroni, and it fixes everything. This is a funny thing. Wine lover's middle way, chapter 1. Katarina Trupp, move to gin. It's like, you can't make this up. All right. Thanks to all my regulars. Check my description box below for everything I have to offer. I do have that Patreon sale on right now, and through probably to the end of January, get 2 courses pre-taught, digital replays, 1 live with me in December. Try me out, $5 a month. What the hell? Nothing to lose. Don't like it, you can leave, and you get to keep all the goodies that I gave you. And if you want to stick around with me in Patreon and learn, have 1, 2, or 3 Zoom meetings with me a month, depending on your tier. Get more content, early access, ad-free. If you want to come over to Patreon, come over and hang out with me there. Why do I want to get you to Patreon? Well, one reason is that you're not here. And I also don't trust this platform that, to get demonetized or kicked off of it one day. So it's another place to build community as well. So just give me a try there. If it's all appealing to you, love to have you over there. Please check out the Mars Kazemi video at 50-something thousand views, only because it's really valuable for understanding the next 2 years of your life and where the Scorpio reset button is. If you want to know how the 240-year reset button with Venus, South Node square Pluto, not seen since 1763, is happening to change your life, right? Because this is happening now and will influence your life, right? Over the course of technically 18 years, because it's also Venus South Node in Libra energy that repeats itself every 18 years. So that reset video is important for the long range too. And that's already just out on Monday. It's called, what did I call it? Rare. 240-year rare Venus South Node Venus South Node Pluto reset. But go check that out. Maybe my sister, when she timestamps it, will put it in the description box for you guys, because those are valuable content videos that give you a longer lay of the land, not just what's happening in the week or the day. All right. Take care, everyone. Appreciate your patience. Big hugs to all my regulars. Ciao, ciao.